What's up, everyone? I'm Sahil Mittal here for the NBA G League Tracker, and I'd like to welcome you all to our 11th episode of G League Conversations.
Man, Weezy, that's the way. Through the ice in this platinum, I did a 180, I went up the wrong way. Look at the bells and the twinkling, glisten and shine, you gon' need you some sunblock.
Today's guest is former Windy City Bulls guard and former Brooklyn Nets two-way player Milton Doyle. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get into what's been most recently happening with your career, let's kind of go back to the beginning of your professional career. You went undrafted in I believe it was the 2017 draft, but you ended up joining the Brooklyn Nets in training camp and eventually on a two-way deal. Even though you weren't drafted, were the Nets one of the teams that you spoke to a lot during the pre-draft process?
Not really. It was just going throughout the workout process, going to different teams, working out. And I had a great workout there. And they invited me to Summer League. And during Summer League, I played well. And it just kind of went from there. So just being better at each step.
Who were some of the other teams that you ended up working out and had good workouts for?
I think my best workouts were Houston Rockets, the Nets, Minnesota, and probably Atlanta. I had a few other, but those are my best workouts for me.
Did you, before the draft, did you have any idea whether or not you might get drafted, or if you were close, or if there were any teams that might pick you up in the second round sometime?
No, I knew I wasn't getting drafted at all. I just was like, I hope somebody give me a chance to play Summer League at least.
So then after Summer League, you joined the Brooklyn Nets in training camp, and then you went down to Long Island and eventually signed a two-way deal with Brooklyn. When you ended up playing with Brooklyn and playing those 10 games there, what were some of your favorite memories or experiences in the NBA?
My first memory is just the travel, being on the plane, the private jets, like just going through that process, getting to the hotels and seeing how nice everything was. But being in the arena and seeing all the fans walking through the tunnel, just little things like that what stood out the most for me.
Do you remember how your first shot kind of set up and who you guys were playing?
We played the Spurs. I got in like the last probably like 50 seconds of the game. We was getting blew out, got in, drove to the lane, got fouled, made 2 free throws. Those were my first points, first shots for NBA.
Was there somebody who you played against that you kind of idolized growing up, or somebody that you were like, wow, like I'm really in the NBA now?
Yeah, we played the Pelicans, and Rondo was on the team at the time, and I played a little bit that game. I actually played like meaningful minutes. So, and I guarded him for a little bit. I was picking him up full court, and it kind of hit me like, wow, I'm guarding Rondo. I remember just watching him at home. He's in Boston playing against the Bulls in the playoffs. So that was one of the guys that was like a shocker, like that said I made it to the NBA.
Yeah, and when you were with Brooklyn, who were some of those veterans on the team? Because you had some guys that kind of just were NBA guys, and then there were some guys who had some experience playing in the G League as well. Who are some of the guys that you learned from, and kind of what did they teach you the most?
Spencer was probably one of the biggest guys I learned from. Just him going through the G League process and being able to play well in the NBA. Just the grind and what it takes to kind of get your foot in the door and kind of stay and going through the process. Then the veteran guy, probably Damari Carroll and Quincy Acey. They just always talk to me a lot and kind of show leadership to bring me along the way.
So what was the toughest part of being on that two-way deal? Because I spoke to Vincent Edwards. I think he was on a two-way deal with Houston. And he also had some tough parts about like kind of traveling and going back and forth between teams. Was that the toughest part for you, or what were some of the other like difficult parts?
Probably just travel. Other than travel, everything else was pretty easy. Travel and adjusting to the gameplay. Because in Long Island, usually both teams run the same offensive sets, but we ran different sets from them just because their sets didn't fit to our team. So going up and down to try to learn the plays. But travel is probably the hardest thing. You on the road with a G League team, it's a small city, little town. and they call you in the middle of the night, like you gotta fly out 5 in the morning or something like that.
So did that happen like frequently, or was that kind of just like a couple
Yeah,
times?
for me it was all the time. Like we would play a G League game, and the next day I have to fly out or something like that. It was just like random call up, so you couldn't really plan anything out. If you had a day off with the G League team, you had to travel and go to the NBA team, so you never really had any free time to plan anything out or do anything. So no days off during that process.
Right. And then for your second season, you ended up signing a pro contract in Spain and going overseas. What was kind of behind the decision for you to pursue the international route, only your second year as a professional player?
Playing summer league, and I didn't think I had a good summer league showing. I think it was okay, but it wasn't good enough to for an NBA team to actually sign me. So I would have to just basically go through the G League and either stay on the 2A or try to get another 2A or just go through that process again. So I just wanted to test the waters and see what was out there.
And then overseas, how was your experience over there? Was it kind of like a culture shock, kind of getting over there? And what was really different about it? And was there anything similar to playing domestically?
When I got to Spain, everything was different from the style of play, just the language barrier, from the food, everything. So everything was pretty much a culture shock. Basketball, different set of rules. Even just the way they do offense and defensive sets. It's kind of like college and pro mixed together. So you have to kind of relearn things and start over a little bit.
After you played in Spain, the next season, you got a call from the Chicago Bulls and you joined them in training camp. Being from Chicago, how nice was it for you to actually get that call and join the Bulls, your hometown team?
It was amazing for me. I did a during my draft process, I did a workout with the Bulls. It was okay, but just to actually get like a call and say that they will give me a chance to work for a spot on the actual team, it was a big thing for me.
Do you have any memories of watching Chicago basketball growing up? Who were some of the guys you kind of looked up to and watched?
Just Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose. Remember watching him in the playoffs. Ben Gordon,
Oh yeah.
Kurt Heinrich, those guys. I just remember watching those guys play. Joakim Noah, that team that was making around the playoffs. So all those guys. Remember them playing hard and fighting every night.
So when you joined the Bulls, you eventually got cut at the end of training camp, and you went down to Windy City. What was your kind of mentality going into the G League season? Because you'd played there before. Were you like more prepared this time? Was there anything like you were more ready for?
Yeah, I think I was. I think going in that year, I was just trying to focus on being like a playmaker more, showing that I could play point also because uh, with Long Island, I was known for just scoring the ball and shooting, so I wanted to kind of broadcast something different.
Yeah, I
So that
remember.
was the main focus.
Yeah, I remember watching. I believe you had a 42 point game with Long Island. That was pretty big. Definitely a great offensive player. After kind of like being down there, you averaged 17.5 points per game. And even though the season was kind of cut short, how did you feel about your overall play that season? Did you feel like you accomplished your goals of kind of being more of a point guard and being more of a playmaker and just besides being a scorer?
Yeah, I think people recognize that I can do more than just shoot the ball and score. I average, I think, 6.5 assists. So most guys coming from playing a two don't really do that. So it was a big deal for me and showed growth in my game. So I think I accomplished it.
And when you were down with Windy City, of course, like there was like some big talk about Bull. He came down, played with you guys. There was a ton of people always there trying to watch him. Um,
Yeah,
what did you see in him? What did you think about his game, and what do you think his future possibly holds for him?
I think he has a great future. I don't think it's anything that he lacks offensively, really defensively either. Just because how tall he is and how much space he covers on the court, he's able to shoot it, the three, the mid range, can put it on the floor, and he's athletic. So for me, he didn't have like a weakness. For me, it's just him going out and playing hard every night.
All right. And I think I think it was right before the new year when Max Struess got hurt and he went down. Was that kind of a big thing for you to kind of step up and be more of a leader and be a bigger part of the offense?
Yeah, just because I was coming off the bench at that point because we had 4 two-way guys, and Daniel Gafford was down with us also. So I was the point guard coming off the bench. So I had the second unit, and they brought me into the first unit when Max went down. So it was more of a bigger role trying to keep guys together and bring guys along.
And eventually the season did get canceled. But were there ever any talks of you possibly getting a call up to any of the teams in the NBA?
Yep, the Warriors. I was supposed to get the Warriors call up the following week after, like right when they started COVID, because they were calling everyone up, giving them a chance, just a 10-day contract just to see because they had a bad year. So I was next in line for the call up. Well, at least what my agent told me. So I was next in line for a call up.
That's crazy because if the season hadn't been canceled, you'd be up there. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Another former Windy City Bulls player, Alfonso McKinney, was up with the Warriors. Do you have any relationship with him or both?
Yeah, that's my guy. We went to the same high school. He graduated before I got there, but we from the same neighborhood, grew up in the same neighborhood, hang together every summer. So we got a good relationship.
Seeing other guys like that, not just Alfonso, but other Ryan Arcidiacono, even just to give another Windy City Bulls example, seeing guys like that kind of make that jump from the G League to the NBA, does that kind of push you harder to kind of work harder and hopefully get that NBA call up in the future?
Yeah, I think I don't know how many guys from the G League are in the NBA right now, but I know it's a large percentage of guys. So it's not like it's just like we can't play on that level. I think it's just all opportunity and getting in the right situation. So it's a lot of talent in the G League and a lot of guys that I think can play on the NBA level at any night. So it's just opportunity and whether or not someone will give you a chance and believe in you.
Right. I think it's almost 50% of players in the playoffs now have had experience playing in the G League. But for you, what else do you think you need to show NBA teams in order to get that future NBA call up?
Man, at this point, I really don't know. I think I pretty much just showed everything. Maybe shoot over 40% from three. Probably that might seal the deal. But other than that, I've scored the ball. I've played defense. I've passed it.
Right.
I think probably shooting consistently 40% from three, something like that.
After the season got canceled, you took your talents over to Italy, where you played your 4th professional season. Can you talk about how this opportunity came about and how it was really different from other seasons, just in terms of the COVID aspects, and also how it was different kind of from your first international experience?
Just I didn't really want to come back to the G League. I thought it was time to where it's just like to go make some money. You always can come back and try the G League or summer league or training camp or something, but it's like playing basketball is a short period of time, so you have to go make the best of it. So that's why I wanted to go back overseas. And during COVID, it was tough because a lot of teams were losing money and budgets and stuff like that. So it was hard for a lot of guys to go over there. But I got an opportunity to go to Italy, and it was great. Even though everything was on lockdown, you couldn't really travel or see anything. But the fans were online and always showing up to the gym to cheer us on, like in practice and things like that. They'd come in and line up around the arena and just cheer us on and practice just to show their support. So it was a good experience.
Was it? Were you expecting were you kind of more ready for that international kind of like culture change after going through the Spain experience that first time?
Yeah, I was kind of expecting it and knew pretty much how it was going to be. Even though it was a different country, I knew the European game now and kind of how it's going to be. And Spain is probably the best country you could play in for basketball. Probably the toughest other than the NBA. So I kind of expected what to do. I kind of knew what to do well, basically. And this year, I was one of the guys to bring the other Americans along.
And I know you just mentioned kind of you went over to Italy. You're able to make a lot more money playing overseas than you are in the G League, kind of with the salaries kind of being so low. But a lot of guys point to the G League being as a kind of like that direct path to the NBA, whereas overseas, a lot of NBA teams don't see you as often. How does that influence your decisions possibly for next season? Do you think you're going to continue to go overseas kind of to make some more money overseas, or do you think that playing maybe one more season in the G League might get you that NBA opportunity?
For me, I don't think I would play just strictly in the G League unless I can get a two-way contract or some type of training camp deal or something like that. Because for me, the money isn't worth it for the opportunity, because the opportunity really doesn't come until the end of the season during call-ups. So
Yeah,
for me, I would just rather go overseas.
well, hopefully you do get that NBA opportunity next season, and hopefully we'll either see you on a two-way contract or hopefully a full NBA deal. Milton, thanks for taking some time to talk, and good luck with whatever you end up doing next season.
Thank you. I appreciate the conversation too.